Hello everyone, my name is Nordic Beast and welcome back to the shipyard, or to the new shipyard rather. So I've been doing a lot of editing and uploading lately. A lot of it hasn't posted yet, but it will soon. And I actually already made a video introducing my new shipyard, and amongst my editing, I accidentally deleted the video. So I have to remake it. But it's very brief. It's just a smaller shipyard. As you can see, I've got one asteroid here, which I've actually done videos here before, but without the shipyard. I had just a collection of ships. But this is, as I said, my new shipyard, which I like it. I actually may go with a darker color, because this is very, very bright. But, yeah, this is my new hangar. It's based off my old shipyard, but just using, not using the, oh, what are those blocks called? Not girders, but like they're very open blocks. I can't think what they're called now. But anyway, yeah, I got a couple cargo containers in here. I got space for some utility ships in here. And then, of course, I have my auto door, which, with me and Dracul's joint survival, I really like auto doors now. So I thought I'd show off a couple of things here. I know I show off my Valkyries a lot, but I had a lot of fun with them last night, and Dracul ended up coming in here and joining me, which, by the way, he tagged my base with this sign. This is actually the motto of his faction that's in the NID public server, which is, you know, we know. Now, apparently in the NID public server, it has a bush on top with a couple of cameras. And I guess that's why they know. I can't say, I guess we, because I'm actually part of that faction. But anyway, so one of the things I talked about in my previous video that no longer exists are these DK thrusters. Absolutely love these things. These things are just awesome. I think they're fantastic. They're good models. My only critique about them is they lack good textures. I would love to see good textures on them, and I would love to see one by one sloped thrusters, basically like these, but just the front half, so I could replace my azimuth ones on the wingtips. Because the thrusters actually, they're a little bit better than vanilla thrusters, but they're not as good as azimuth thrusters. But I think these match the look of my Valkyrie much better. Which, by the way, this is my prototype model with everything on them. And I removed guns and missiles and everything, and so it's actually a lot lighter. And basically I use this as a base model to build more things. Now, I took this, and then last night I happened to be working on the workshop, or flipping through the workshop rather, and I saw a two-seat trainer. And I thought, what a great idea, and especially for the Valkyrie, because the Valkyrie is got a little bit of a learning curve. It's very fast, but it slides everywhere, and it has a lot of buttons on its control panel, as you see down below. So it takes a little bit to learn it. And so I finally built in a rear seat. Now this is actually the open azimuth cockpit with small ship windows. And the azimuth cockpit, luckily, it's only one block in width. And so I can really wedge it in there. Actually, here, I'll give you a look on the inside. On the inside, as you see, I'm really wedged in between the two thrusters. But you don't need much in the way of view. You can always use third person. And you're more observing the pilot for this model. Now, where this really came in is I updated my reconnaissance version of the Valkyrie with all the cameras and an extra battery in the larger back end. And this is where two seats really comes in well. And I have a version that also has a small drone that can detach from the back. You can use the second crew member for that, also for operating the cameras. Not to mention, now that we have GPS and direct communications, your rear crew member can operate the antenna and do all your comms and also your GPS and give you navigation. So all the pilot really has to worry about is flying a ship. That is it. So I think this would honestly be a wonderful, wonderful ship. So one of the things I was doing last night was I was trying to make a homemade turret for Valkyrie. And I was messing around with it, and I was talking to Dracul. He came in, and he explained to me that if you have a turret on top of a ship that has gyros, and the turret has gyros, you can only operate one or the other. Even if you have a second crew member, he can't operate the second one on the ship, which is pardon me, which is kind of weird, but I'm sure it had something to do with the engine. And basically I had this, but with one of the small turrets that they modded to, explain some of the weapons modding. But this one, I ended up putting the wake bomb launcher on, and turned this into essentially a dive bomber. It's just the prototype model over there, but with this attached, and it is very, very fast, obviously, and it accelerates so fast, and the wake bomb launcher is so slow that you have to get close in order to fire it accurately. I've crashed this ship so many times trying to hit a moving target, or at least with a space station, you can get within the proper range and just let the bomb go and off you go. But it's probably best for hitting non-moving targets or unarmed targets because it just has the single. So then I thought about using it on a 2 crew membership, but I couldn't really think of why. And I ended up taking the reconnaissance version, and I put the wake bomb launcher on the back, and then added a turret on top for defense that the second crew member could use, as well as heavy armor. Even though I don't like heavy armor, I feel it's OP, which I believe I've mentioned before, but this is, it's just my opinion. But I added some heavy armor under there, and then a little back here to help protect the second crew member. And it's just enough to help defend it. I've actually crashed this a few times too, which tends to destroy the cockpits and leaves the heavy armor there. But it would help a little bit, especially if you're getting strafed in the underbelly. So yeah, I'm probably never going to use these two, but I thought they were interesting variants. I think I will officially incorporate the 2-seat trainer and the 2-seat recon. In fact, I think the 2-seat recon will replace the single seat, simply because the single seat, it's too much on a pilot load. There's no purpose for it. A 2-person makes a lot more sense. A lot more. So, anyway, I happened to, this morning, be looking at an old book I have from the 1980s called Future Fighters, and it's illustrated by a company called Arco. And you may have seen it at like a bookstore if you happen to be any kind of aircraft buff or military buff. And in it, it has all these not prototype, but concept fighters for the future. One of them was by Lockheed, which they took the SR-71, which is the world's fastest fixed-wing aircraft, at least jet-powered. It's technically jet-powered. And tried to make a fighter variant out of it. And it was smaller, and it would have been extremely fast with internal missile bays and all that. Anyway, I've been making a lot of aerodynamic ships, and if you saw my solo survival where I was just showing off everything, my Delta in there is similar to this, and actually in every way this thing is pretty much based on that. It's kind of a mix between the Delta, the SR-71, and the Valkyrie. Internally, it has 3 cargo containers with a conveyor box leading to the connector down there. It has 1 azimuth reactor, mostly because the azimuth reactor is small, which I ended up putting in the back. Actually, I believe it's the more powerful one. What is that? The turbocharged reactor? This one. Fusion reactor. That's it. Fusion reactor. Which has a lot of power, and I do feel that is a little on the OP side, but it does take a lot of parts to build it. Pardon me. And I ended up going with 2 seats, just like the Valkyrie over there. And it's actually not too bad. I ended up naming it the XR-17, which, of course, is similar to the SR-71. And I named it the Nighthawk. I wanted to go with something like the Blackbird. I know it's not overtly original, but I really, really like it. And I actually worked on this thing for quite a while, probably about 45 minutes. This thing actually handles pretty well for its size and weight. I mean, it's almost 40,000 kilograms, and it's only got 2 gyros in it. Yeah, 2. But, of course, the Sage thrusters help, and the DK thrusters, I tried to basically shoehorn in some extras, which is why you have all the single ones you see shooting down there, and then, of course, the small sloped ones there, which have helped. But this ship, it doesn't really have to focus on maneuverability. It's more about speed and it has good acceleration, especially for a transport ship. And in all honesty, because of its cargo containers, this thing could carry more uranium than you would ever know what to do with. This thing could have so much range, it would be unbelievable. Not only that, it would also make an excellent, like a blockade runner. Being as it is painted black, it's difficult to see, even in here, with the blue background. I mean, if you're trying to see this thing at a distance, yeah, you'd have trouble. Oh! Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, look at that. 200 meters a second. Oh. Whew. Took out all the cargo containers. Behold my incredible piloting skills. You know what? No. I'm going to leave that there. That belongs there. That's going to be a mark of my stupidity of not paying attention. Go ahead and copy another one. I'm glad that wasn't the original. So anyway, this would definitely make a good blockade runner, as it has good acceleration. I mean, it's not as fast as like the Valkyrie or Dracul's Soundwave. Like, it doesn't accelerate as fast, and it's not as nimble, but it would accelerate faster than most normal fighters that people build, and or even a large ship. So I mean, it's relatively maneuverable. It's quite fast on the acceleration. And right now, I currently have a mod on here that allows you to go up to 200 meters a second, as you saw. But that's only for small ships. For large ships, you go up to 150 meters per second, which I know isn't realistic, but I kind of like the balancing on that, just for game issues. To be honest, this is probably for another video, but the way I would love to see it is I would love to see Keen balance it by doing a ratio of what your thrust is and what your overall mass is, and basing a top speed on those two equations. So your thrust to mass ratio, and then it would give you a maximum speed your ship is capable of getting to. And then say you put an overall cap in the game, like, I don't know, say 250 meters a second. So even if you build a large ship, if you have a high enough mass to thrust ratio, you could get to 250 meters a second. Just as an idea, because in real life you have delta V, and your delta V is a mix between your reaction mass, which is your fuel, compared to your acceleration and your weight, your mass, and it's as your mass decreases from losing fuel, is your overall delta V. And honestly, large ships would most likely have a higher delta V, because they would have more reaction mass, or fuel, and could accelerate for a much longer period of time. So even though they would have a lower acceleration, which even that isn't necessarily the case, they could accelerate for a long time and get to a higher speed. So that's just my thoughts on it. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed the ship, and my new shipyard, and my new Valkyries, and I may actually even incorporate this into my fleet. I think this thing is beautiful. So anyway, that's it. If you guys enjoyed, if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you liked the episode, please hit the like button. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.